when Thomas Jefferson stated that, quote, a democracy is nothing more than mob rule where 51% of the people may take away the rights of the other 49, unquote. Not only did that not make much sense because those 51 would be taking away their own rights as well, but he wasn't talking about the sort of democratic governments that exist today, right? True, I guess, democracy, or even I know even that's debatable, but the kind of democracy that he was talking about doesn't exist anywhere in the world, right? So to say that democracy is mob rule, well, no, it's not. And look, I used to believe this, right? It wasn't even that long ago that I believed this, and many of you are much younger than myself. Uh, you could be a lot smarter than I was at your age, so take this as an opportunity to learn. So, mob rule, or ochlocracy, if I'm saying that correctly, is the rule of government by a mob or mass of people and the intimidation of legitimate authority. So, it's like gang rule, right? Mafia rule. Okay, so, we could sit here and spend all day talking about definitions and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, I think there are people who have intentionally soured your idea of a democratic government, right? Not a true democracy in a sense, because they need an apathetic populace who will just who doesn't get politically involved, right? That's the thing. Look, if the political process were dead, right, then it wouldn't exist. Obviously, right? Need I say more? Right? If how some of you imagine, and that's a very, very simplistic view of the world, that's incorrect. This whole idea that the NWO control everything and everybody, and you know it's here, and the world is ruled by this select group of people, the NWBO, that's bullshit. What is the NWBO, right? The New World Order. What is that? Well, what's the world order that we still have, or which world order is right now struggling with this new world order, right? Well, it's American hegemony, right, versus the BRICS, if you will, or a multipolar world order, right, where the EU has a lot of say, and the Eurasian Union, whatever, where all these other organizations, people, right, want to say too, want to be able to rule, right? Multipolar. So American hegemony, I would say, is still the status quo, right? There's a war going on, and NWO is the multipolar world order, right? That's many EU states, if not most, Russia, China, right? They they're not necessarily united, right? But they want to move the world. They basically want to destroy the United States. That's it. So that for now it's going to be a multipolar whatever the hell, but these people have aspirations to be king, a whole bunch of them anyway, right? So the reason why they want to break up US hegemony is, I think, because that's going to make it a lot easier to enslave everybody, right? When you have all these vassal states, or I mean, just look at what's we could sit here and bitch and moan about America and the West. Yeah, I get it. I've done plenty of that myself, right? But those of you who see like salvation in Russia or China, of all places, because they banned effeminate men off TV, or Putin said some, funny things about gay people, while KGB defectors are saying that he's gay and a pedo himself, right? um, those of you who are so anti-West while living in the West, right? Why the fuck ain't you moving to Russia, right? Why not? Or China? Well, because chances are you wouldn't have hot water, right? You wouldn't have indoor plumbing. Chances are you wouldn't, right? And you would live in a very in a place that has, yeah, the West is as fucked up as it is, no doubt about it. But I mean, if you like freedom, right? Then Russia and China ain't the places to be. EU ain't the place to be if you like freedom. I'm not saying US is perfect, but I mean, you have so much more freedom in the Americas, right, for various reasons, than those parts of the world. So I mean, like, stop talking shit and move to Russia. You know what I mean? If you're so in love with what the Chinese president is doing, go move on over there. See how you're gonna like their zero COVID policy. I mean, just shut the fuck up. Just motherfuckers just so incoherent. You know what I mean? Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Mob rule. Yeah, a lot of evil things have been done in the name of democracy, right? The American military, right? Freedom and democracy on their bombs as they drop them on innocent people all over the world. Yeah. I get it. You're you're not supposed to. You're supposed to hate democracy, right? So that you accept a king like Putin. I mean, look at what's happening to people. They're falling in love with authoritarians, tyrants. People are fucking falling in love with tyrants. Like, Putin isn't any better than the West. He's murdering innocent people the same way. I mean, you're sitting there, right? Pointing out, if you are, obviously, right? If I ain't talking to you, then you ain't getting mad. Simple, right? I don't finger people out individually, right? So, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. Anyway, you know, people will point out NATO bombing Kosovo, right? The Balkans, and murdering all these innocent people, right? As some sort of a wicked justification for what Putin is doing, right? That's completely fucking incoherent. What Putin is doing is just as bad as what they did in the Balkans. And you're pointing that out, right? You're saying how evil that was, and then you're proving to be a fucking hypocrite. Like, two wrongs don't make a right. Morons, right? But this is the funny thing, right? The people bringing up the Balkans, right, are pointing out how the West are being hypocrites because of what they did in the Balkans, and now they're not allowing Putin to do it, right? How hypocritical that is. And the implication is that they should allow him to do that, right? Because that would be just. You're the fucking hypocrite. How is one thing just and yeah, both sides are saying essentially the same thing, right? When it's okay when we do it. Both sides are fucking hypocrites. Hypocrites are calling hypocrites hypocrites. All you motherfuckers are incoherent, right? Team people over here. Team people over here. Anyway, so yeah, definitely the idea of democracy, not only has it been, no one really defines it properly. Few people do. No one really talks about really truly the kind of government that you have in the United States still, you know what I mean? And what it truly really is. It's not pure democracy, right? It's what Jefferson was talking about, right? only a select few get to participate in the process, right? And whatever you want to call it, representative democracy, yada yada yada. And I'm not even saying that that's like the best possible system, right? It's not the system that's the problem, because you could have a monarchy and it could be the best system in the world, but motherfuckers are so ideologically committed to a certain form of government, right? Why? Because they've rejected logic, reason, their internal moral compass. They're motherfucking hypocrites. People in general are, sorry, the masses are just pieces of shit. The average person today, in my experience, is a massive motherfucking piece of shit. That's why you're being treated like excrement, because you're a piece of shit. Obviously, not everybody, but like, if you're pro the murder of innocent people, right? And so many people are, whether it's the people on the left when it comes to, the bombing that the West is doing, or the people on the right that are pro the murders that Russia is doing right now. All of you are huge fucking pieces of excrement, right? Not my cup of tea. Anyway, it's not what form of government you have. It's the motherfucking people in it, right? And if most people out there are pieces of shit, then it doesn't matter the form of government that you have. What matters is that you have immoral people in power, whether it's the king or the, parliament and Congress or whatever. If you have immoral people in power, well, what's the outcome going to be, right? If the people in power don't speak the truth, what is the outcome going to be? Doesn't fucking matter what the government is. You could have mob rule. If 51% of the people are moral, right, and speak the truth, then you could have mob rule. And the pieces of shit are going to get dealt with. You know what I mean? The 49%. Anyway, this is what we got. You know what I mean? This is what you have. And it's all fine and good to dream about, I don't know, whatever it is that you like, anarchy, complete and utter libertarianism. I don't care, a dictator, whatever the fuck it is that you dream about or would be the right kind of government. You're full of shit. You don't get like the basic, most basic fucking shit. Just as when it comes to money. Oh, we need gold. No, fiat is better. No, we need Bitcoin or blockchain current. Blah, blah, blah. No. It doesn't matter what the currency is. It doesn't matter. Is the system truthful, honest, or is it corrupt? That's the only thing that matters, people, at the end of the day. So, long story short, you're not supposed to want to engage in the political system because it works. As broken as it is, as corrupt as it is, it's not dead, right? Because it is, obviously. So if, the best and the brightest, as they say, and for some reason they don't want to say, the morally correct ones, right? If they get into power, then everyone's going to be all right, right? You don't want, going back to pure democracy, you don't want everyone to have equal power, equal say, right? Because a lot of people are immoral, they're apathetic, they're easy to manipulate, you know what I mean? They don't have any values, or they just have no fucking clue about much of anything at all. So, and they're not even interested in telling other people what to do, right? They're not interested in any of that. They're not interested in administering, ruling, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? So the most intelligent, right? The most outgoing, I guess you would say, enterprising, hardest working, in a sense, right? People, the most qualified people get into politics. The problem is that most of them are immoral or easy to corrupt. That's the problem, right? And the system corrupts. Yeah, there's definitely. I'm not gonna deny that there isn't. If you do, I'm not gonna deny that some people get into politics with these ideals and good ideas in mind, and then they get bought out, they sell out, they get corrupted, and yada yada yada. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That happens, right? The system is fucked up, right? But it still exists, and it still to some degree works. So if, in other words, if all these people who claim to know what's good, what's truthful, and what's right, right? If they got involved in politics, be it on, and yeah, I changed my mind. Yeah, I change my mind all the time. This is what we have, right? This is what it is. And they got into politics, if even only at the local level, right? If all those people maintained a relationship with the local authorities, be it cops, fire department, um, if any one of you right now, right, probably knows somebody that's like in the FBI, in the police force, or someone that knows someone, like everyone's connected to these people that are in various positions of power in society, right? And a lot of those people in those positions of power are just like you and I. They just want to raise a family and live a happy, prosperous, peaceful life, right? That's the overwhelming majority of people in power. They're that. They're just like you and I. Problem is, they don't know what's wrong, what's right. People are brainwashed and whatever, right? But you're supposed to hate the police, right? You're supposed to fight with the police. Why? Because every city, right? City, town, village, whatever, has a proportionate army attached to it, right? You think that's a small thing? You know what I mean? And if shit hits the fan, wouldn't you want to be on their side? Them to be on your side? Right? But no, you're supposed to fuck the police, right? You're supposed to hate each other and look, I'm not saying that cops didn't contribute to this. Of course they do. But at the same time, right? There's there's idealistic young people who just want to fight crime or whatever, and they go into the police force, and then they have some fucking thug shoot at them or whatever, or kill their partner, or they just they succumb to this beast system, right? They get corrupted, they get bitter, they get jaded, you know they see all these people hating them for they haven't done anything, and all these people just like right off the bat hate them. If that's what you put out there, that's what you get back. This isn't look. It's not just cops' fault. This young motherfucker fresh out of the police academy. What the fuck has he done to you for you to hate him? You know what I mean? But no, you're supposed to hate the police. You're supposed to defund the police, right? You're supposed to hate the politicians. You're not supposed to get involved in the political process. You're not supposed to get involved in the school board, your local government. You're not supposed to get involved in any of that. You're supposed to be apathetic, and you're supposed to take what they give to you, right? You're supposed to hate democracy. If the system was completely and utterly broken and didn't work at all, people in the positions of power wouldn't shit on it. There'd be no need to. If they had absolute totalitarian power, right? People like me would be in the gulag, prison, or dead. You know what I mean? You couldn't say anything online except what they wanted you to say. You couldn't leave your house, which is where this is headed, right? You couldn't leave the house unless your fucking toilet tells you you're COVID negative, right? Be back in 17 minutes. So yeah, you're supposed to hate democracy, right? Because that's your only way into power. As things stand right now, I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying you know we couldn't do better. I'm not saying that it should always be like this. This is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is what you have, right? You still have access to politics. Like I'll give you an example. So when the pandemic was foisted upon us here, and various local police were given instructions to like put up roadblocks, uh, check people's papers, right? Have these checkpoints, patrol the neighborhood, yada yada yada, right? I talked to the president of our local junta here, right? He's my friend, and like I laid out to him what's going on. I explained to him what's going on. I talked about, where's all the sick people, bro? Right? It's supposed to be a pandemic. How come no one's getting sick? Right? I broke it down to him, and I'm not saying he agreed with everything I had to say, but I could see a little light bulb light up in his head. And he talked to the police, and in his little jurisdiction, right, where he is in charge, he told them, we don't want these roadblocks. We don't want your presence here. Just go about your business as usual. Yada yada yada. Don't bother the people. Right? There's no issues here. Right? Now that's not all of Ecuador, obviously. Right? It's not even much of our little province here. Right? Yeah, but if everybody talked to their authorities or got involved in the government and befriended the police and just engaged in that conversation, things might have gone on, as always. Everything could have been normal, right? Maybe, I don't know. Depends on, how far reaching this outreach would have been, right? The right people got into government and into power and yada 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 on all levels, right? From the local to national. Then it would have been what it would have been, right? It was just one person talking to another person. And okay, our little radius here it's really small, no doubt about it. But that's just one person. That's just two people. You know what I mean? Making life a little bit easier for, you know, maybe 10,000 people. Maybe. So this idea that like democracy is mob rule, that doesn't make any sense. Right? As it is meant by people today. You're supposed to hate democracy. You're supposed to hate the police. You're supposed to hate the politicians. You're supposed to be averse to all of that so that you don't participate, right? And if the system was completely broken and dead, there wouldn't be a push for you to hate the system in the way that you do right now. It's because you still have us as a people. We have all the power. That's why you have to bicker about immigration, nationalism, LGBT, and all this other fucking nonsense at the end of the day, right? Giving away your freedom, because that's what it ultimately ends up. That's what ultimately ends up happening, right? Look at nationalism. What is nationalism resulting in, right? What is it resulting in? War, right? So that's not just your freedom being taken away, but in many instances your life, right? It results in war. I'm not saying it has to be this way, but this is what it is. Sorry, right? War, walls everywhere, stricter border controls, right? People are just putting up walls, enslaving themselves. Good going, good going. Nationalism, though. What about like LGBT and the anti-LGBT forces, right? Well, it's about taking each other's freedoms away, right? Under the guise of freedom. Well, these people, these evil LGBT people, they can't be allowed to do this, right? They can't say certain things. The right want to complain about cancel culture and taking away the freedom of speech. They themselves want to take away the freedom of speech of their enemies too. It is what it is. That's what it ultimately ends up. That's what it ultimately results in, right? What other bullshit issues do we have? And they're not completely bullshit. Don't get me wrong. There has to be verity, I guess. There has to be virtue in these issues in order for people who aren't completely demoralized, for them to participate and push for these issues. So there's some virtue there. But at the end of the day, this isn't as important as the fact that it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's people on the left or on the right. They don't want absolute power and us locked up in our homes. That's what they want at the end of the day, right? Trapped in the metaverse. Of course, that's what they want. They want you in your little pod like the movie Matrix. Essentially, that's the end goal. I'm not saying literally like that, but something like that. That's what's planned, right? But we're gonna sit here and bicker about nationalism and LGBT and like a bunch of fucking morons, ultimately, right? Anyway, immigration, right? Again, I'm not saying these aren't important, but how important are they in the grand scheme of things? Anyway, yeah, democracy. First of all, we don't have democracy as mob rule. That just doesn't exist. I don't know of any place in the world where that actually exists. Okay, and the sort of, I don't know, limited representative democracy that we have, yeah, it's broken, it's fucked up, it's corrupt, it's all those things, right? Why? Because all the wrong people get into it, or if the right people get into it, they eventually get corrupted and become the wrong people, right? But again, if the system didn't work, at least to some degree, there wouldn't be this strong push for you not to participate in it. And it does work. And there's plenty of examples of this, especially at the local level. It does work. That's why you're not supposed to participate in it, because that's the only power that you still have, politically anyway. That's all I gotta say, man. Thanks for watching.